Hi guys, welcome to our third session for week 1. Hi Tamara, how are you today? Good. Today we are going to go through responsive web design. We're going to take a look at the week 1 discussion, the week 1 assignment overview, the week 1 assessment overview, and we're going to take a look at the project files, and then I'm going to do a demo step by step of what you need to do for the assignment and the assessment. Our next lecture will be next Monday at 5:15 Mountain Time. Now, just a reminder, as far as announcements goes, I will be in the SSC on Thursday from 8 to 11 p.m. Mountain Time, and on Friday from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. Mountain Time. If you need help, please come in and see me. Christy will be in the SSC all week long. Her schedule is posted in the announcements. She can also help you with this class. If for some reason you can't make it at any of those times, please send me an email. Let me know you need help so we can find a time that we can get together and I can help you with this. Don't forget, I am here for you guys. I will be with you every step of the way. So if you're having trouble, let me know so that we can get together and we can get it worked out. Responsive web design. Our week 1 discussion is over responsive web design. You need to do some research this week and consider the layout for the different size screens. You have your desktop, your tablet, and your cell phone. Think about the layouts and what you see the websites having in common. So if you have a cell phone and you have a desktop or your laptop, either one, pull up the same website on both phones, on both devices, and look at the difference in the layout. What do you see that's common between websites? Check out a few of them and look at the common things you see in the design process. The way they're designed, the way things are laid out, that sort of thing. The desktop versus the cell phone. And talk about that for your discussion. This week, to help you get started with your coding, your first website using Dreamweaver, there are a few things that can help to make the connection between the code behind the scenes that the browser read in order to display what we see when we call up a page. All of that's done with code. The web browser reads that code, and that code is what tells the web browser what it needs to display and where each item needs to be on the page. The main thing to remember, let code be your friend. All it is a language, and it's actually written in English no matter what country you live in or if you speak English or another language. So let's dissect it a bit. To display a web page, your internet browser reads and interprets a special set of instructions. These instructions are written primarily in 2 languages, HTML and CSS. Dreamweaver includes features that allow you to build a web page based on the latest web standards. And we looked at a few of those features yesterday, like the CSS designer. That makes it very, very easy to create your CSS style sheet. The actual directions for the assignment this week, it's 2 parts. Part 1 is you download the assets. That is the student start files that are found in the week 1 assignment page. If you scroll down, you'll see a blue link that says student start files. You need to download that folder. Move that folder from your downloads folder to your desktop, and it is going to remain on your desktop all 4 weeks. You have to keep it in the same place. Once you've set up Dreamweaver in your site root folder, that folder has to stay in the exact same location from week to week in order to work correctly. So you're going to download those files, and then you're going to define your site correctly in Dreamweaver so that it picks up your site root folder, and you can do the things that you need to do for the assignment. And we're going to walk through that in just a few minutes. If you have difficulty, you need to let me know or go in and see Christy and let her help you set up your site. After you download the zip file, you're going to extract it by double-clicking it to open that zip file and move that folder to your desktop is the best place. It's easy access for Dreamweaver and it doesn't have to dig through your files. If you choose to move that folder after the class is over, that's fine, but wherever you put it now, it needs to stay there for the next 4 weeks. Inside the folder, you're going to find several other folders. You're going to find everything you need to build the site over the next 4 weeks in Dreamweaver. You're also going to find a sitemap and a wireframe for the lawn care company. The root folder you will define in part 1. A folder with images you will use in your inside page mockups and use in the website. So you're going to find several folders and each folder has several files in it. One of those folders is your root folder, and I will point out exactly which one that is in just a few minutes. Locate the root folder, launch Dreamweaver, and complete part 1, defining your site. Do one of the following to help you with part 1. Attend or watch the live session for a demonstration, which we're fixing to do. Or you can also watch the video on setting up and defining your site under the course media page. Read the instructions on how to set up a local version of your website. That is also found on the course media page. And then you're going to set up the navigation structure and create a menu for the site. Part 2 of the assignment. How to do the following items are demonstrated in the live session and are covered in various tutorials found in week 1's course media page. There is some basic structure already in place. Most of your code is actually already done, guys. We just have to edit it a little bit and we have to create some of the CSS. You will be building on this page and adding pages to the same root folder throughout the rest of the mod. So don't move it or throw it away after you have submitted each week's assignment or assessment that you've been working on. And the root folder needs to remain the exact same name. Don't change the name of that folder. When you zip it, you're going to change the name of the zip file, not the actual folder. Part 2 continued. You're going to open the index.html in your root folder. You're going to change the title tag to read Lawn Care Landscaping without the quotes. Attach the provided style.css style sheet. You're going to style the header, navigation, and logo placements per the provided mock-up of the home page for all 3 screen sizes with media queries. You're going to check to make sure the web page has been named correctly and that the header content, that means the information between the 2 header tags, resembles the PSD mockup and the CSS media queries are modified for each screen size to make it responsive. So, part 2, you're just creating the header and you're going to style it so the header looks the way it's supposed to. And then you are going to zip your file. You are going to name that zip folder, not your site root folder, but the zip folder. You're going to name it DS248 Lawn Care Site. Once you have named that zip file, be sure you do a first name, last name in there, guys, for me. Your site root folder is already named DS24 Lawn Care Site. Those directions are kind of confusing. The folder is actually already named that. Don't change that name. Change the zip file. Once you've zipped it, change it to read DS248 first last assignment 1.zip. And that is what you're actually going to turn in. And then you have your assessment. Your objectives covered under the assessment are understand and applying basic HTML syntax, understand and apply basic CSS syntax, and create HTML pages and link with hyperlinks. So what you're going to be doing is working on the footer for the assessment and creating your additional pages. Most websites have footers that contain information that need to be seen on every single web page of that website. More often than not, in addition to copyright information, they may include things like sitemap links. Social media icons are very common in the footer area, and links to the privacy policy or career opportunities, things like that you find in the footer area. For the assessment, you will be styling the footer tag contents based on the PSD files of the homepage mockup you downloaded in week 1's assessment. Your assignment of styling, positioning content, make the header responsive, should make the assessment quite straightforward. If you run into any problems, be sure to join or watch the live session demonstration or review the tutorials found in the course media page. You will also be creating the other 4 pages of your website and linking the main navigation list. You do this in week 1's assignment. Join or watch the live session demonstration or go to the tutorial on creating hyperlinks found in the course media page for week 1. Your instructions for the assessment. Open the index.html page in your root folder and add any necessary HTML structure and style the footer content with CSS per the PSD mockup provided. Once the footer and header are exactly the way they should look in all 3 screen sizes, then duplicate the index.html page 4 times, which means you're going to go to File and you're going to go to Save As and save it as the next page. Make sure these pages are put into the same root folder as the index.html file. On the 4 copies, rename the file to Services. So basically, you're going to go on the index page, you're going to go to File, Save As, and you're going to change the name to Services instead of Index. And change the title tag to Lawn Care Landscaping Services. On the next of the 4 copies, rename the file to Gallery and change the tag to Lawn Care Landscaping Gallery. The 3rd page needs to be saved as Crew, and you're going to change the title tag to Meet the Lawn Care Landscaping Crew. On the last page, you're going to rename it Contact, and you're going to change the title tag to Contact Lawn Care Landscaping. You're going to open each of the 5 pages and create hyperlinks to all other pages. I'm going to show you how to do this on the index page before you save it so that you don't have to do it 5 separate times. You only have to do it once. Then you're going to test each page and make sure that it's linked correctly and that the title tags are coming up correctly. And we will walk through how to do that testing. And then you're going to zip the root folder one more time. And you're going to rename that zip file DES248 Assessment 1, your first name, your last name. I would move the entire folder to your desktop, Tamara, but we'll go through that here in just a second. Let me pull up my Finder and I can show you guys what I did. Okay, I downloaded the student start files. Well, I did download them earlier. They're not there anymore. They were in my download file. What I did, when you unzip that folder, here they are. Let's unzip this folder again. There's my DES student start files. And you can see there's your site root folder. There is the mockup folder. Your site images folder. Then you have a lawn care wireframe folder. I moved this entire folder. I just dragged it to my desktop and dropped it. And so there's my student start file on my desktop. All of my folders are inside of it. I would suggest you move the entire folder because you're going to be using all of these folders at some point throughout the month. So now let's jump over to Dreamweaver. And the first thing we're going to do is set up our site. So in Dreamweaver, you're going to go to the very top of your screen, up there with File, Edit, View, and Help, and you're going to click on Site. And then you're going to click New Site. And you're going to give it a site name. I'm going to call this Lawn Care Landscaping. And then you're going to click on this little folder icon right here. And you're going to link it to your site root folder. And I have a little spinny circle. Hold on just a second. There we go. I'm going to go to my desktop. There's my student start files. I'm going to click on my site root folder, which is the GS248 Lawn Care Site folder. And I'm going to hit choose. And then you're going to click on advanced settings. And next to default image, over on the right hand side, you have another folder icon. You're going to click on that folder icon and you're going to click on the images folder that is inside your site root folder. If you're not sure that you're in the right space, go back to your desktop. Go back to those student start files. Click on your root folder and then click on the images folder and hit choose. And then you're going to hit save. And then you're going to hit OK. It's going to tell you building your site. Your files panel over on the right hand side. If for some reason you don't have a files tab over on the right, make sure you go to Windows and click on files. You are going to need that files tab quite often. And you're going to open your index.html page. Now, step one of the assignment says, we set up our site. We've opened our index page. Let's see if we'll make sure we have everything. We need to link our CSS style sheet. So, in Dreamweaver, you should see another tab up there next to your Files tab, right across here, right across the top. You're going to click on CSS Designer. Again, if you do not see that tab, click on Windows at the very top next to Help and go to CSS Designer. And guys, you can move these boxes. If it's not already open, it's going to appear on your screen like this. You can simply click on that tab where it says CSS Designer and drag it over to the right hand side of your screen. And it's going to put it in that box with your files so that you have tabs and you can click back and forth on what you need. So once that CSS Designer is open and you've docked it over on the right, next to sources right here, you're going to hit the plus sign. And you're going to do attach existing CSS file. And you're going to hit browse. And you're going to go into your site root folder and you're going to click on the styles.css and hit open. And you're simply going to hit OK. That's going to open your CSS style sheet. It's going to appear right here in your sources. It's also going to appear right up here in the left-hand corner next to styles.css. If you click on it, you can see that there's already a lot of CSS styles done for you. You're going to be adding to that. So then it tells us we need to change the title tag to Lawn Care and Landscaping. So we're going to go down to, we're going to scroll to the top and find that title tag. It's going to be on line 5. This is Lawn Care and Landscaping already. The problem is lawn care is supposed to be one word. So you're going to correct that. It should look like that, lawn care and landscaping. Go to File, go to Save All. Next, it tells us that we need to style the header based on the mockup. So let's open that mockup so we can take a look at it. Share my Photoshop with you. Come on. Sorry guys, when I clicked over, I accidentally closed my file. Let's go to my student start files, desktop, student start files, my mockup folder. Now I want to open that PSD. You're going to get this message, guys. You can just ignore it. Just hit OK. This is the mockup. This shows you the desktop view, the tablet view, and the mobile view. Now, the initial design in Dreamweaver is the mobile view. You have to set up the media queries for the desktop and the tablet. So in reality, this is what you're looking at first. So let's zoom in here so that we can see the header, because that's what we have to write the CSS styles for. Logo needs to be centered, and the navigation needs to not have bullet points, and it needs to be centered right under the logo. So let's jump back over to Dreamweaver. I'm going to go into split view. Okay, now we're in split view. Now you notice I want to go to 320. It will help you manage this project a lot more, guys, if you will go ahead and just pull yourself down to 320, because that is the original size. There's not a media query for 320. There's one for your media queries start at your tablet view, 768, and your desktop view at 1024. Your global CSS, your original CSS before the media queries, is the cell phone size. So just grab this little gray bar right here and pull it down to somewhere 350, 320, somewhere in there is fine. It will help you make sure you're doing this right, because you're actually looking at the right view instead of looking at the desktop view and it not looking the way it's supposed to. So make sure you pull that slider over so you get somewhere between 400 and 300. Just so you get a cell phone size view, and you can see how it scales everything down for you. And we're working on just the header. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure our header is supposed to be a different background according to our Photoshop file. That's a darker green, isn't it? I'm going to click on this. And here's my 480 folder. Let's see if I can close that. I'm going to open this mobile view folder here. Here's my header folder. I'm going to open it and see if I can find the background. There it is. There's my background color. I'm going to double click it. That's what color it's supposed to be. Look right there. That is the number you're going to want to need right next to that pound sign. It's highlighted. I'm going to simply hold my command key down and hit my letter C as in cat to copy it. Or you can right click and choose copy. And I'm going to close that, and we're going to go back to Dreamweaver. And you can see in your CSS, you already have a header rule. It's on line 12. We're going to add a background color. So you can do this one of two ways. You can go to your CSS designer, which is over here. Once you click on that header, it will automatically put you in the vicinity of that header, or you can scroll down and find it. But you're going to find that header rule. And you're going to click on the background properties. And we're going to set the background color. Right here at the bottom, I'm going to erase that, right click and choose paste, and put a pound sign right in front of it. And hit my enter key. And give Dreamweaver a second. Go. Make sure it took my background. It didn't take my background property. Let's try that again. Pound. Enter. There it goes. It took it that time. And you can see it changed my background green. Otherwise, you can simply, on line 12, you find your header rule. Then you see right underneath it on line 13, the padding for the header has been set. If you would prefer to type it, you're just going to put your cursor at the end of line 13 and hit your enter key. And then you're going to start typing background. You start seeing this little box here that pops up. So you're going to keep typing until you see color come up. Here it is. You can simply click on it. And then you can choose color picker, or you can simply do your pound sign and then paste those numbers and add a semicolon. That will set your background color. Now, we also need to center our image and stuff. Do you remember from yesterday how we centered our image in our header? Go to that CSS designer, go to your text properties, and text align center. And suddenly it centers your logo. The same way here, guys, if you'd prefer to type it out instead of using that CSS designer, you can. Just hit your enter key after line 14 where you set the background color and start typing text. You'll see text align pop up in that box. Just click on it and then type center and put a semicolon. Now then, we have our navigation bar here. So let's go to File and save all for a second because we need to switch back to our source code. And you can just click on this little source button right up there at the top. Right here is your source code, and right there is that little CSS styles. Right now we are on the source code. Click it, it brings up your code. Now then, we know that the navigation is in the header, so you're going to find your nav tag. It's right here. And we know we need to take off those little bullet points. Do you remember what tag we need to make a rule for in order to get those bullet points off? The UL tag. The LI tag, the LIA tag will take the blue off. But right now, we need to get rid of these little circles on the side of it. That's the unordered list. The unordered list applies bullets. An ordered list, an OL tag, applies numbers. So we need to get rid of that. So we're going to click in that UL tag. We're going to make sure we don't have that UL rule already made. We don't. So in the selectors panel, right here, we're going to hit this plus sign. And it's going to give us all of this. You can leave it just like that. That's fine. And we're going to go to the text properties. That's where you find the list style type. So we're going to go down to list style type and choose none. And those dots disappeared. Now let's look at it in our CSS style sheet. So right here at the top, I'm going to click on that that styles.css. And we're going to go down and we're going to find that rule we just made. Just right here, it puts the rules at the end. Not at the end of your page, just the end of this section, right before the tablet view. There's our UL rule that we just made. In the property, list, style, type, none, semicolon. Back to our source code, we're going to go to File, Save All. Now we need to worry about this blue text and the underlining. So we're going to go back down to our tags. That's going to be which tag? The LIA tag, right? Once again, over here in the selectors, we're going to hit that plus sign. It's going to make a ULLIA rule. And hit our enter key. Go to the text properties again and set the color. Now, according to our layout, that color is kind of a grayish color. It's not quite black. So I'm going to do a charcoal gray. My enter key. And it also needs to not be underlined. So under text decoration, I'm going to hit none. It's also supposed to be all uppercase. So we have to use the text transform here, right? So I'm going to scroll down a little bit and go to text transform and choose uppercase. And now they're a little too close together. So I'm going to go back up to my layout properties. And I'm going to go down to my margins. I'm going to add, we could add a top margin too. It looks like it's a little close to that logo. So I'm going to add a top margin here. Oh, it's not our A though. So if we can't do it with the A rule, what rule do we need to do it to? We can't space them out using the active link rule. So what other rule would space them out? Just the LI rule, right? Because technically that A tag is within the LI tags, right? So if we need to space them out, we need to adjust the LI tag. So we're going to hit that plus sign in our selectors again. And we get the style nav UL LI with no A. I'm going to hit our enter key. And go to our margins, and then suddenly they start getting spaced out. I'm going to space them out about 10 pixels. That moves it down under the logo a little bit and gives enough space between each one that they're nice and separated. And it gives some space here at the bottom so it's not sitting right on top of that banner. That looks much better, don't you think? So now we need to do the CSS for the different screen sizes. So let's jump over first and take a look at Photoshop. We need to go to our tablet view. Okay, now look at, we've got some changes there. In our tablet view, the navigation needs to be horizontal instead of vertical. So that's really only one rule we have to change. Everything else stays the same. The logo is still centered. We just need to make that transition right there. So let's go back to Dreamweaver. You see this little purple bar up here? This is basically your breakpoint ruler bar. This shows your media queries. I'm going to click on the 768 one. This shows me the tablet view. Want to make sure we're getting it right when we do it. So we're looking at this. Now, I need to, if you notice over here, let me get my pencil here. You have this little box here called Media. This is where your media queries are located. And we are working on the desktop view, which is this one right here. Oh, no, not desktop view. I'm sorry, tablet view. We are working on the tablet view. So this is your tablet, and this one is the desktop. So we know that we need to move some rules into our tablet view because they need to change versus what they were in the original view, right? Because we need this bar to be horizontal instead of vertical. What rule do you think is going to control that? Which tag keeps the list vertical? The UL specifies it's an unordered list, but it doesn't necessarily keep it vertical. It contains the list. But each list item is between what tag? Yes, the LI tag. So on this rule here in our CSS Designer, that dot style nav ULLI, that is the rule that we need to change. So we're going to right click on it. And we're going to go to duplicate into media query. And we're going to choose the one for tablet view, which is 768. And click on it. And then in the media queries box up here, we're going to click on the 768 rule. And there you see where we duplicated it. So we're going to click on that rule. We need to make some changes to it, right? We're going to change the display. We can change it to inline block. And look what happens. You could also change it to inline table. And it does the exact same thing. I usually choose inline block just to make sure everything stays even. But now we need to add some actual space, right? We need to margin to space those out some. So I'm going to add 10 pixels to the right. You can click on that and just type it in if that slider doesn't get it where you want. Let's compare that to our Photoshop, our mockup. Services, gallery, the crew, contact us. They're pretty spaced out there. Let's check it out in Dreamweaver again. I think they need to be spaced out a little bit more. What do you think? Let's try making this 15 pixels. Well, that's better. Let's try 20. I think 20 pixels will do it. Yeah, that looks much better, don't you think? So now we're going to go to File. Let's save all real quick. Let's jump over to our CSS style sheet so we can see what we've done. So all together, we have created so far, we've added some attributes to the header rule. We made the background color. We made the text align center, all under the header rule that's on line 12. And then in the CSS Designer, we created a few rules. The first one was the UL rule. And we changed the list style type to none to take off the bullet points. And then we created the ULLIA rule. That's where we changed the color of the text to that gray color. We changed the text decoration to none to take off the underlining. We changed the text transform so that everything was uppercase instead of mixed case. And then we created the ULLI rule. And this is where we set the margin to space out the words when they're vertical. And then under the media query, we duplicated that ULLI rule. We kept the top margin set at 10 pixels, which is what we did originally. We also set the display to inline block, and we set the right margin to 20 pixels so that it spaced our words out when the navigation is horizontal. So now we have one more view to do, the desktop. Let's go in and take a look at our desktop view. Go back to Photoshop and look at this mock-up. Well, in desktop view, let's zoom out here just a little bit. In desktop view, our navigation bar is still horizontal, but our logo has floated to the left and our navigation is over on the right. So let's go back to Dreamweaver and make those rules to create that. First thing we're going to do is go up to this breakpoint bar and we're going to click on 1024 so that our view gets bigger. You can either, if it's not expanded all the way, you can go ahead and pull that gray bar all the way over so that you're totally expanded and you can see everything. And then we're going to go into our code. We need to move our logo. So we need to adjust our header rules in this media query, right? So the first thing we're going to do, since we were messing with the media queries last, we still have this rule selected. We want to make sure we unselect that. So we're going to go up and we're going to click on styles.css. That unselects that rule and allows us to see all of the CSS rules we've made. So we're going to find that header rule. We're going to right click on it and we're going to duplicate into the desktop view, which is 1024. Now, we also know that we need to duplicate the nav rule. Do we have a nav rule? Let's find it. Yes, it should be called style nav. Let's see if there's actually a rule made for style nav. There's not a single rule already made for style nav, so we're going to have to make that when we get in the media query. But I think those are the only two rules we're going to need. So we're going to go up here to our media query and we're going to click on minimum width 1024. First thing we're going to do is work with our header. I'm going to click on that header rule and go to text align and choose left. So it pushes it all the way to the left. And then in our code view, we're on source code up here. We're going to click inside that nav class equals style dash nav. And we're going to hit the plus sign. There's our rule. We're going to hit our enter key. And now we need to float that rule. So we're going to go to our layout properties. And if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see a rule right here named float. We need to float to the right, correct? So we're going to float it to the right. And look what happened. It automatically moved it over there, but it's at the top of the screen, right? We need to pull it down. Now, we could try a couple of things. If you go into text and you scroll down, you're going to find a place where it says vertical align. Right now, it says baseline. What if we choose middle? Well, it didn't really move anything, does it? That vertical align sometimes works great on text and sometimes does not. If we choose bottom, still doesn't move anything. So we're going to trash that and simply go up to, we could set our margins, or you could set your position. You go static, absolute, fixed, relatives. I find it easiest most of the time just to do it with my margins and put that nav where I want it. like that. About 52 pixels, maybe a little more. 55 pixels, somewhere right in there, until you get it to where you can just kind of eye it. Make sure it looks kind of centered there. It's like 55 might be just a little, maybe 60 is better. So let's look at it in live view and get a good look at it. Yep, that looks pretty good. So there's our desktop view. If we click on that purple bar for the 768, tablet view. If we scale that over to like 400, we get our cell phone view. Now everything looks the way it's supposed to. So let's take a look at our rules. So when next view we worked on was our media query for desktop, right? We copied over the header rule. And we changed the text align attribute to left instead of center. And then we created the .styleNav rule. And we set the attribute so that it would float right. And the top margin was 60 pixels. Any questions on that? It's okay, Tamara, don't freak out. Just when you get ready to do your assignment, follow along with this lecture so you can play and pause. Because honestly, guys, this is not something you're just going to pick up from one lecture or two lectures. You're going to have to actually do it for it to really start making sense. Because when you're actually doing it and you're seeing the stuff change for yourself, it starts kind of clicking. Does that make sense? So don't freak out yet. The demo will be posted on the live lecture page and in the announcements. You can use it to get through your assignment. I am also going to be sending a file out after this lecture that will show you exactly what rules that you need to make and what the attributes need to be set to. Okay? So don't freak out. I promise we will get you through it. And it will be a lot easier than you think it will be, okay? Just hang in there with me. Okay, guys, now we're gonna click back on the source code button, and we're gonna take a look at our navigation. This will make it easier on your assessment if you go ahead and do it now. That way you don't forget. And that way you have everything linked. If you look on line 18, you see that LI tag for the services page. You see this little pound sign right after the href equals. You see a pound sign between two quotations. Leave the quotations there and delete that pound sign. And you're going to type services.html. Make sure it's all lowercase because remember you're saving all your files in lowercase. And then you're going to do the same thing for gallery. You're going to erase that pound sign and type gallery.html. And then the crew.html. And do the same for contact.html. That links your navigation buttons to every single page. So you only have to do it one time instead of 5 separate times every time you save the file. If you do it now, when you get to the assessment part and you do all the saving, it will automatically be done so you can skip that step. Now then, let's go back to our instructions and let's make sure we've got everything. We styled the header, the navigation, and the logo, and we did it in all 3 screen sizes. We changed the title tag. That was done. Okay, so now we're ready to zip our folder. So you're going to go to File. You're going to Save All. Then you're going to go into your Finder. Everybody see my Finder? You're going to go into your student start files. You're going to click on your site root folder. That's the folder that contains the images file, the index.html, and the styles.css. You're going to right click on it, and you're going to compress it. It's going to create a zip file. You're going to rename that zip file. It should be ds248 underscore assignment 1 underscore your first name, your last name. And you're going to turn in that zip file for the assignment. And then you're going to go back to Dreamweaver and finish your assessment. So for the assessment, we are supposed to be working on the footer. I'm going to click the little arrow next to line 12 to close the header. I'm going to click the arrow next to line 28 to close the main content. And then that leaves just your footer code. If you close these guys, it'll make it a lot easier for you to follow and not get lost in all the code that's already there. So just click the arrow next to line 12 and the arrow next to line 28. And it'll collapse most of your code so that you can just see your footer. We notice our footer tags there. Starts on line 62. Now let's take a look at our mock-up real quick and see what that footer is actually supposed to look like. Let's go over to our cell phone view. Scroll down. There's our footer. So we need social media icons and then that text. Let's find out what color it's supposed to be first, because that color looks a little darker than the header, don't you think? And it is. So again, we're going to copy that hex number and go back to Dreamweaver. And we're going to come over to our CSS. Now, once again, the last media query that we were on was this 1024. Make sure this is not selected, guys. The way to unselect it is to make sure you go up to the styles.css and click on it. And it will automatically unhighlight that. So I'm going to click on styles.css. Now, neither one of them are highlighted. And we're going to scroll through and look there. There's our footer right there. So the first thing we need to do is set the background color. So we're going to click on this little icon. If you hover over it, you'll see the word background pop up. And we're going to click on it and we're going to set the background color for our footer. I'm going to paste my number down here and put a pound sign in front of it. And change my footer color. Let's look at our split screen view so we can see it. And let's scale back down so we're cell phone size so that we're looking at the right screen view. Scroll down, change my footer to that dark green. Now then, we also know that we need to do what? What else needs to be added here? If we look at our footer code, I don't see any image tags. So we're going to need to actually make an image, right? Social media. So that's going to require a little bit of code. We're going to need to make a new div tag. Remember yesterday when I described the div tags for you? Div tags are like boxes that fit inside other boxes. It's the way you kind of stack things on your website and arrange things. So we're going to make a new div tag. So at the end of line 63, right after that div tag that says class equals row, you're going to click there and put your cursor and hit your enter key. And you're going to create a div tag. Your bracket, your greater than sign, div, and we're going to do class equals quotations. We'll call this lowercase social media. In another bracket, and I get my closing div tag. I'm going to hit my enter key. So now I'm on line 65. I need to insert my images here. I'm going to make the image tag img space src, the equal sign, my quotations, and I'm going to hit browse. It's going to open up our site root folder. Now, inside your images folder in your site root, you're going to find your social media icon. According to the mock-up, the Facebook icon is first. So we're going to click on Facebook. We're going to click open. And then you need to do your alt text. When you hit that space bar after inserting that image, the alt automatically comes up. This is alt. And I'm just going to simply enter Facebook icon. And then use my arrow key to get past that quotation and add my less than sign. Look there, it appears on your screen. I'm going to hit my enter key. I need to add my next image. So once again, img src equals quotations, browse, and the next button is supposed to be your Pinterest button. So I'm going to find my Pinterest button and hit open. Hit my space bar, click on the alt, and do Pinterest icon, and then add my less than sign. Hit my enter key one more time and repeat the exact same process and choose my Twitter. My space bar, click on that alt, and this is my Twitter icon. Add my less than sign. Now I have all three of my social media icons. Let's take a look at Photoshop real quick. Our mock-up, those icons need to be spaced out, don't they? So we're going to need to add that spacing. So let's step back to our code and take a look at it real quick. What rule do we need to make to space out those images? Which tag do we need to use? Our nav bar is at the very top. If you look at your code, we need to do a few things, right? First, I would say, let's center those icons. So what tag are the images between? Your div tag class social media, right? That contains the images. That's the box that's wrapped around those images, right? So we're going to make a rule so that those images are in the center of that box. So we're going to go over to our selector, and we're going to hit the plus sign. Dot row, social media. Hit our enter key. Go to our text properties. Text align, center. And look there, they automatically show up. And they're centered now. So now we need to add some space between each image. Well, we know that each image is wrapped in a tiny box with the IMG tag, right? That tiny blue box wrapped around that image is an IMG tag. So in order to space those out, we need to add some sort of margin between each little IMG box, right? Each one of those images is wrapped in its own specific box using the IMG tag. So in our selectors, once again, we're going to hit the plus sign. Now you'll notice it says dot row, social media img, which means this rule will only affect the img tag that is within the social media div that's inside the row div, which is exactly what our code says. Here's our row, then our social media, and then our images. So that rule will only apply to these 3 images, not any other IMG tags on the website. So we need to add some space. We're going to use our margin. We're just going to apply a right margin there and spread them out a little bit. I'm thinking about 40 pixels will do. That looks pretty good, I think. And then I think we probably need to add a bit of a margin on the bottom to push that lawn care landscaping down just a tad so that we get an even amount of white space below it as we have above it. Makes sense? So about 10, 15, let me click in there. Let's do 15 pixels on the bottom. That looks pretty good. So it might be a little less than that. Let's try 13. I think 13 looks about right. So you're going to add a margin of 40 pixels on the right and 13 pixels on the bottom. And that spaces our images out and gives us an even amount of white space there. So now let's hop over to our mockup. Well, our text needs to be white and it needs to be centered. Let's hop back to Dreamweaver. We need to work on this text. If I click on my screen, if I click on that text, we get a paragraph tag. And it automatically moves my cursor down here to this paragraph tag. Well, that paragraph tag has a class. It's called footer text. So we put our cursor in there, go over to our selectors, click on this plus sign. We create a rule that says .row, .column, .footer text. Hit your enter key. Now, we need to change the text's color. So we're going to go to the text properties, and we're going to change the color to white. Just like that. And we need to text align center. So that does it for our footer. It's all done. Our header still looks good. Our footer now looks like the mock-up. So we're ready to start with our media queries. So let's click on 768. Let's hop over to our mock-up and see what our footer is supposed to look like on the tablet. Look at there. There's no change in the tablet view, is there? It's the exact same thing. It's centered with the social media icons above the text. So we don't have to do anything in that media query. So let's take a look at our desktop. Now, our desktop is a little different, isn't it? We need to float that text to the left, and our social media icons need to go to the right. So let's go back to Dreamweaver. So let's see. First thing first, let's work with our social media icons since they come first. Now, the box that is around our social media icons is the .social media div tag, right? That div tag with the class social media. We know we made a rule for that, so we're going to find it. It's right here, .row, .social media. We're going to right click, duplicate into our desktop. We also know we need to edit this paragraph because we have to float it to the left. So we're going to find that footer text rule. which is right here, .row, .column, .footer text. Right click, and we're going to duplicate that into the desktop view. And then we're going to go back up here to our social media, to our media queries, and we're going to click on this 1024 rule. We can see the rules we just pulled over here. So let's work on our social media first. That's our box here. Now, right now we can see it stretches all the way across our screen, doesn't it? Well, it's going to have to be smaller in order to fit beside our paragraph, right? It stretches all the way across there. It's going to have to be smaller in order for both of them to fit on the same line. So we're going to go over to our height. I'm going to change my height to 1%, and I'm going to set it to 45%. Hit my enter key. Actually, not the height. I don't know what I'm thinking, guys. Sorry about that. Scratch that. We're going to set the width to 45%. I'm going to hit our enter key. Now, see how it suddenly shrank that box down? Made it smaller than what it was. So then we're going to go down to that nice float rule. And we need it to float what direction? Yes, we need it to float to the right. So we're going to click the little right icon. And it automatically floats there. And look what it's done for us. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Except for the lawn care is still centered, right? So we're going to go to that footer text rule. And we're going to go to the type properties. It's set to center. We're going to change it, and we're going to left align it. And look at that. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? So let's take a look at our mock-up, and let's compare them and see if there's anything else we need to change. You see anything else we need to change, guys? You think that looks pretty good? There's what it's supposed to look like. Let's go back to Dreamweaver, and this is what we have. I think we have a little bit of an issue with our social media icons. Let's go back up to that rule, and let's text align that to the right. I think that looks better. What do you think? So now let's go up and let's take a look at our styles.css and see what we've done so far. Yes, I used text align for the social media, the icons. They were aligned originally to the center. I aligned them to the right just to push them over a little bit more. We still had to use the float right because we needed to move that entire div tag to the right-hand side. Then I wanted to move those icons all the way to the right-hand side of that div tag. So I just simply used the text align. So let's click on our CSS now. Let's go into code view so we can see it all. So for the footer, we set our initial rule, the .row, .column, .footer text to color. We set the background color to white. We set the text align to center. We also did a social media IMG rule. We set the margin, the right margin to 40 pixels, the bottom margin to 13 pixels. And we also did a social media, the div tag. Without the IMG, we just did a social media rule. And we text align to the center. Now for tablet view, we didn't have to make any other changes because it looked exactly the same as it does in cell phone view. But on the desktop view, it looked quite different. The text was on the left-hand side of the screen, and the social media icons were on the right-hand side of the screen. So we duplicated our .row, .column, our .row, .social media which is the box that was around our social media icons. We duplicated that into the media query 1024. We set the text align to right. We set the width to 40%, and we floated it to the right. And then we duplicated the .row, .column, .footer text into the 1024 media query. And we set the color of the text, and we set the text align to the left instead of the center. So now let's go to File, Save All, Live View. So here is our desktop view, footer. Let's check our heading, make sure it looks good. Our header, and then if we go to our 768, which is our tablet view. There's our footer, everything looks fine there. Here's our header, that looks good. And we're gonna grab this little gray bar. We're gonna drag it over to like 400, 350, anywhere in there works for cell phone size. Our footer still looks good, and our header still works. Now, the last thing we're gonna do before we start duplicating pages is actually test this page in our browser. So File, Save All, File, Real-Time Preview, and click on your web browser. I'm gonna choose Google Chrome. And then I'm gonna share my Chrome with you. And it's gonna load our device preview. And there it is. There's our services, gallery, the crew, contact. This is the desktop view. Everything looks really good, right? If I scale this, see my screen getting smaller, it suddenly snaps to the tablet view. Everything still looks really good there. So I'm gonna scale it even smaller, and we snap to cell phone size. And check everything and make sure it looks good here. Yep, all of that looks good. Let's check the desktop size, footer. Yep, that does exactly what it's supposed to do. So now we're back to Dreamweaver. I'm gonna double click over here to expand it all the way out again. So everything's good. I'm gonna go into code view, and I'm gonna click on source code up here at the top because we're still in the CSS styles. I wanna be in source code. We need to make some changes for the next pages. I'm gonna click on source code, and it brings up all of our code. This is our index page. We need to save it as the services page. So I'm gonna go to File, Save As. It's gonna open my Save As box. I need to save it as services instead of index, and it needs to be spelt in the same casing as what you have typed on line 18. So I'm gonna go services.html, and I misspelled that. Services, and hit save. Now then, the title tag has to be changed in each one. So on the services page, it is supposed to say Lawn Care Landscaping Services. Lawn Care Landscaping Services. So there's Lawn Care. I'm going to erase the and. Landscaping Services. File, Save All. And then File, Save As. Next, it needs to be the gallery page. So gallery.html, and hit save. And on the gallery page, it is supposed to say Lawn Care Landscaping Gallery. So I'm going to replace the word services with gallery, and go to File, Save All, and then File, Save As, and this time it's the crew page. And according to It needs to just say crew.html, not the crew. So we're going to type crew.html and hit save. And then file, save all. And then file, save as, and it should say contact.html. Oh, we forgot something on the crew page, didn't we? Let's go back to this crew tab. We forgot to change our title tag. On the crew page, it should say meet the lawn care landscaping crew. So I need to do meet the lawn care landscaping crew. The is supposed to be capitalized. Meet the lawn care landscaping crew. File, save all. And back to my contact page. Now the contact page, the title tag is supposed to say contact lawn care landscaping. I'm going to erase gallery and type contact lawn care landscaping. File, save all. Now that was my last page. So all of my pages are done. Index, services, gallery, crew. I'm going to go through and check the title tags to make sure they're correct. Contact on the contact page. The crew page says crew. I'm going to close it. Gallery says gallery. Services says services. And on the index page, I'm going to save all. And one more time, I'm going to do that real-time preview. And we're going to go to my group, Google Chrome. And we're going to test our actual pages. So I'm going to click on the services. First, you will notice up here on this tab, see where it says lawn care landscaping? That's the title tag. So when I click on services, it changes, let's see if I can close that one. It changes to lawn care landscaping services. I'm going to click on gallery, lawn care landscaping gallery. I'm going to click on the crew, meet the lawn care landscaping. If you hover over it, you'll get the little tooltip. Lawn care landscaping crew. And contact lawn care landscaping. So all of my title tags are correct. And all of my pages are done. So if I look in my files panel just to verify that I'm saving in the right spot. So you're going to click on that files tab at the very top here. And then you're going to look in this box. And you're going to make sure if for some reason, some of you may have your folder collapsed and all you see is that, just click this little arrow right there. Just click that little arrow and it will expand that folder. And there's my contact page, my crew page, my gallery page, my index page, and my services page. So I know I've saved it all in the spot it's supposed to be in. So you can close your index page. And then you're going to go into your Finder once again. And you're going to go to that site root folder. Now you're going to see all your pages in that site root folder. Once again, you're going to right click. You're going to compress. You're going to get that zip folder. And you're going to rename it. DS248 underscore assessment 1 underscore your first name, your last name. And you're going to turn that in for your assessment. That's all you have to do this week, guys. And I'm just giving you a step-by-step demo. I am also going to gather up all those CSS rules we just made. and I'm going to put them in a Word document. And I am going to send you that Word document so that you know what CSS rules you need to make. Will that help you guys? Okay, then I will do that as soon as we are finished here, is gather all that information into a Word document so you can open it. That way you can make sure you're making the correct rules and that you have kind of use it as a checklist when you're done to make sure you have everything. Again, guys, if you run into trouble, if sometimes Dreamweaver acts funny, sometimes you've made a rule 100% correct and it's just not working. It happens. Do not freak out, guys. Come in and see me or Christy in the SSC and let us help you troubleshoot it. I can show you different ways to force it to do something if it's not doing what you wanted it to do or what it should be doing. So don't freak out and think you're doing anything wrong, because it may just be Dreamweaver acting like a 2-year-old. It happens. So don't stress about it. Just come in and let me or Christy look at it. Both of us know ways to work around Dreamweaver's tantrums. So don't be afraid to ask me for help or send me an email and tell me I've made this rule, copy and paste it. I know it's right, or I think it's right, but it's not working. It's still on the left-hand side of the screen and it should be on the right. Just email me a copy of what you have so I can open it up and look at it, and then I will tell you how to force it to do what you want, even though your Dreamweaver's saying no. And it does happen, and it happens to all of us. So don't be afraid to email me and say, this just isn't working. I don't know what's happening. I think it's right, but it's not working. Don't freak out if that happens. Just let me know so I can tell you how to make it do what you want it to do. So don't be afraid to reach out to me, guys. I am here with you every step of the way. If you're having issues, let me know. I'm in the SSC Thursday and Friday. Christy will be there all week. Her schedule's in the announcements, and I'm there on Thursday and Fridays. So if you need help, come in and see one of us or send me an email so we can make another time to get together. Any questions? Plenty? Questions you want to ask now? Go over how to set up the site again? Absolutely. Let's go back to Dreamweaver. Okay, once you have downloaded your student start files and you've moved them to your desktop, you're going to go to Dreamweaver. And you're going to go up here to the top. You're going to go up to the top. Well, now it won't let me click. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry, Zoom is trying to take over. To move my Dreamweaver around and make it come back up so that it's on top. There we go. Okay. You go up to the top and you click on Site. I don't know if you can see the top of my menu. Can you see it? Tamara, can you see the very top of my screen where it says File, Edit, View, Insert, Tools, Find, Site? I didn't think so. Let's see if I can share my entire desktop and that will let you see it. Now, can you see it? Okay, you're going to click on Site right next to Windows. And then you're going to click on New Site. You're going to give it a site name, Lawn Care Landscaping, or just Lawn Care, or if you want to call it DES24A, doesn't matter what site name you give it, just give it a name. And then right below that is the local site folder. You're going to click on the folder icon. And then you're going to navigate to your desktop, to your student start files. Your site root folder is DS248 Lawn Care Site. You're going to click on that and hit choose. And then you're going to come over and you're going to click on Advanced Settings. And then you're going to see this default image folder. You're going to click on the folder icon. It's going to open up that Finder again. And you're going to click on your images folder inside your site root folder. If you're not sure that you're in your site root folder, click back on desktop, go back to your student start files, click on that DES248 Lawn Care Site folder, and then click on the images folder and hit choose. And then you're going to hit save. I already have a site named that, so it's not going to let me save on top of it. Let me go back up to site name. And then it opens up your files panel, guys. Make sure you have a files tab on the right-hand side up here. If you do not, you need to go up to Windows, right next to Help and Site, and click on Files. And put this tab over on the right-hand side of your screen because you're going to use it often. That will show you all the files you have. If for some reason that folder is collapsed and it doesn't open for you automatically, all you have to do is click on the little icon next to it and open it up. And it will expand that folder so you can see all of your files. Yes, when you first start out, it's only going to have the index file, the images folder, and the styles.css file. There will be 3 things inside that folder. When you're finished, you should have all your pages in that file. But when you first do it, it will only be the images folder, the index.html, and the styles.css file. And then you open the index.html file. Just double click on that little icon. You double click on the little icon next to index.html, it will automatically open that page for you. And the first thing you're going to do is correct the title tag, because when you first start out, there's a space there that shouldn't be. You're going to correct that. And then you're going to start on your header. Any other questions? I know it all seems a little confusing right now, but I promise once you get started doing it yourself, it's going to start making sense. You're going to go, oh, now I get it. But it does take doing it to understand it, guys. I don't know how much I can stress that. You have to do it in order to understand it. It's not HTML coding and CSS is just not something you can grasp until you're actually doing it and watching what's happening when you're writing that code or making that CSS style. That way it starts making your brain click. Oh, I see. I understand now. That's when it starts making sense. So don't be frustrated, guys. I was where you once were. I wasn't born knowing how to build a website. I had to learn, just like you're having to learn. So I've been sitting in the exact seat you guys are in right now. That is why I can't stress enough. If you're having issues, reach out to me. Let me know so that we can not only make things a lot easier on you by giving you my help, I can help try and get your brain to understand what's going on and give you a little bit more understanding so you don't feel so freaked out. I don't want you guys to have anxiety for the next 4 weeks. But I remember being exactly where you were and thinking, I am never going to get this. This is like foreign, English or not, I don't get it. I have been there. Luckily, I had an instructor that was very much like I am being to you guys and was there for us every single step of the way. And if we had trouble with something, she sat down with us and went over it and over and over it until it was like, oh, now I get it. So don't be afraid to reach out to me. But right now, I completely understand the confusing. Trust me, just start doing it, following the demo I did, start following along with me and doing it, because it's going to be you typing the stuff on the screen and actually doing it, and your brain's going to start going, oh, and at some point it's going to click and you're going to start having that basic understanding. It's okay to feel lost right now, Tamara. I promise it's okay to feel lost, and it's absolutely natural. It's normal. You're fine. Go back and rewatch this demo and start doing it. Play a little bit of it, pause it, do what I did. I promise before it's over, some stuff is going to start clicking and you're going to start saying, okay, I think I might understand this. Or at least I'm starting to understand this. And it will get better as we move through the 4 weeks. Just hang in there with me. Any other questions? You can do it, Tamara. I promise you can do it. I will be right here with you the whole way. I'm absolutely more than happy to help you when you need it. You just have to reach out for that help. And I will be sending out help files every single week. So not only will you have the help files, you're going to have my demo too. That will make things a lot easier on you guys and help you have more of an understanding, because you're not trying to figure out what to do the entire time. It's kind of right there. You just have to do it, which will help your brain click a little faster. So anything else? Or are you ready to take that deep breath and start trying this on your own? The lecture will be up and it'll probably take about an hour to process through YouTube, but then I'll post it as soon as it's done. So you can start working on this tomorrow or later this evening and see how it goes. And then I'll be in the SSC tomorrow and Friday, and Christy will be there. I think she's there on Fridays and Saturdays. But her schedule is in the announcement. She might be there Thursday during the actual day, but I don't remember. But I promise you can do this. And if you get stuck, I'll be right there to help you. So if you don't have any other questions, then we will call it a night. And I will see you next week if I don't see you before that. Okay, Tamara, I look forward to seeing you before that then. We'll get you through this, I promise. And then you can put this class under your belt and know that you made it through one of the toughest classes you will ever take in graphic design. And you did it. And we'll get you there, I promise. All right, Tamara, I will see you later then. Good night.